Good afternoon. This is Mr. Minnick showing my Visual Basic students how to begin the famous Maze3 assignment, also known as Pacman. Well, first I recommend that you go to your Documents folder and you take a copy of your Maze2, well, you right-click it, and you click Copy. And then anywhere in the white area down below here, you right-click and do a Paste. And we've done this before when we went from the Maze1 assignment and turned it into Maze2. So now we have a backup copy of Maze2, but let's rename this outer folder. Instead of Maze2 copy, let's just name it Maze3. What we really think of is Pacman, because that's what this is going to act like, but it's called Maze3 officially in this Visual Basic course. Now, of course, we double-click and go into that folder and we open up the project. Noticing that the name of my project is Maze2 Demo. Yours is probably just Maze2. Do not rename any of this. Do not rename this. It'll mess it up. Just the outer folder should be named Maze3. But when you double click it, inside it can be named anything else. That's fine for me. I won't take points off. Actually, there's something we need to do before we even open up the project. So before we open up the project, let's drill down into the bin folder, short for the word binary, and within there there's a debug folder. Go inside there. Now in this location, this is where you would put certain extra files that you might make use of. I've already put 4 graphic files in here named Pacman down, left, right, and up. These files could either get extra credit or just make your program look extra good. Here's what those files look like. They are 4 files that put the Pacman's mouth in 4 different directions. You can check the specs to see if this is currently considered extra credit, or I expect current students to do this in their program. When the Pacman moves in one direction, to reflect that movement, that direction with the right mouth opening. Actually, in this assignment, I don't even think you have to use graphics. You could just have a boring blue or yellow picture box with a background color, but this would make your program look a lot better. Okay, anyway, I need to put some music in here. So in this bin debug folder that you see, I am going to go to another spot. I'm going to go to another location on the network where Mr. Minnick, that would be me, have provided with you VB students, that would be you, some extra files. If you go into my handout folder, Wingrow 2 here, and go into room 202, and go into handout, and go into Visual Basic, of course, here's a whole folder called sounds. Well, within there, I have 2 different types of sound files, WAV files and MP3 files. In the WAV folder, related to this Maze3 assignment, I have these 2 files, Pacman Dying and Pacman Intro. I'm going to copy and then right-click and paste them into this location here where I'm going to change the view type. I'm going to right-click and paste those sound files there, Pacman Dying and Pacman Intro. If you double-click one of these WAV files, I think it pops up. Yep, it does. It pops up a little Windows player or something, and you can play the sound just to test it. Let's see Pacman Intro. Notice how these WAV files are short sound clips. That's the right type. When you look in Windows on a Windows computer, these files behind the scenes are called WAV files. If I right-click one of these files, we will see here that it is called a WAV file or WAV sound. If I go to details, it'll show me probably what the name of the file actually is. Well, it doesn't here, but just trust me. Behind the scenes, there is a .wav file extension as part of this file name, and same for this one. Okay, the other sounds that you might want to add to this project, if you want music to play in the background the whole time that the person is playing Pacman, Like perhaps the Happy Kalimbo song. Listen. Kalimbo. Kalimba. Perhaps you want a cool swag Maze3 program like this. One that has that kalimba jazz music playing. Or maybe you're more into the drum music of Crazy Dave playing in the background while somebody plays Pacman. Or maybe you like a boy named Patrick that right now is not paying attention. You like the famous band One Direction to play in the background. So be my guest and lose points if you'd like, and play some bad music in the background. But one way or another, you'll need to bring in your MP3 file from home, maybe with a flash drive, and put it into the folder that we're about to place our files into. I'm going to take Kalimba, right-click, copy, and put it over here into my Pacman Maze3 folder, along with those graphic files and any other sound files. This is the place where you put such files to make use of them in your code. Now, I didn't talk about copyright and whether you're allowed to legally do this or not. I'm hoping that for educational purposes, as long as we're only playing this program in school here on one computer where you're testing your software, you can probably get away with it. But ask a lawyer or do some reading to go deep further into how you end up distributing this program, whether you can use a file like this or not. The Kalimba song that I just downloaded, that is royalty-free. I got that from a copyright royalty-free website. Okay, now we're ready to open up the program. So I open up the program by, again, going to my Maze3 project and double-clicking this file here that has the little 10 icon, because that's my solution file. Double-click. So here is Maze2, the way we left it a week or two ago in this class. I have to double-click the form over here to open it up. And here is what my Pacman 2 looked like. I'm going to run the program to make sure that Maze2, rather, I should have said Maze2. Here's my Maze2. Remember, with the arrow keys, we moved our guy around the maze until it found wind detection and told me that I'm a winner. And if I hit the wall, it reset me. Now do notice that I have this graphic interchanging that depending on what direction I'm going, it realistically shows the Pacman. You'll have to look at my code here in a second to see how I did that. It's also in our lecture notes. Here's what we have to do to get the sound to play. In your code window, to play sound, I'm going to shrink up all of my, my methods here so you can see this easily. We go to my lecture notes, and the lecture notes on sound has this key line of code that you need to paste. Right here it is. Private declare auto function play sound blah 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 blah. Copy and paste that long line of code from my lecture notes. You do not have to have that memorized for a future test. Just know where to go to copy and paste it from my lecture notes. And paste it right here. Below public class form 1, but above all your private sub-methods. Now this line of code that you just blindly pasted, if it said jump off a cliff, would you jump off a cliff? Probably not. But if your good Visual Basic teacher, Mr. Minnick, tells you to copy and paste code, would you do it? In this case, yes. What we're doing is we're setting it up so that this method called play sound can be used anywhere in this project, well, anywhere on this form. This is like a declaration statement for a function. Instead of dim something, we just type private declare auto function play sound. Don't worry about the rest of this stuff. Just know that it works on most Windows computers. There's some dynamic link library file that's saved, that's somewhere on this Windows computer in a file named Windows Multimedia, WinMM for short, and just know that there's a lot of cool multimedia stuff in that special file that's on this Windows server. And we can call the play sound method. So go back to my lecture notes and find the other line of code, play sound, that you need to copy and paste. Now I don't want the dying sound, but we'll edit that later. Play sound Pacman dying.wave. And then 0, 1 just has to be there. Copy and paste that, and now scratch your head with me and think, where do we want the dying sound to show up? Oh, in the key down method, Nathan correctly stated, when I collide with a wall. So you already have this in Maze 2. It's at this spot right here where we used to game reset the guy. Well, we'll still keep game reset in there. But right in between there, right before game reset, I'm going to paste that line of code. Now this is something I do want you to memorize for a future test. Do know how to spell play sound. And know that you need parentheses and then the name of a WAV file. MP3 files don't work with the play sound function. This function, which you can think of as a method, this function that we're getting for free in this file that's already on your hard drive, it only works with WAV files. At least that's what I read years ago. So at least this is something. You can't play Justin Bieber MP3 files, and you certainly can't play an M4A iTunes file. Huh, no way. Would a Windows Visual Basic software development tool let you play a Apple audio file format that's copyright protected with iTunes? Like, you can only play this file if you paid $1.29 to Steve Jobs' empire, and you can only run this program on 5 devices, Apple devices or fewer. No way would a Windows computer work nicely with Apple iTunes formats. But where there's a will, there's a way. There are programs like Audacity that you can download for free and sometimes change a file from one format to another format so it can be played on other devices. And sometimes that's actually legal. Sometimes it's illegal. You got to read the fine print. Okay, so I just pasted in the play sound call statement, and I just had to put this 0, 1 there. That's just the way it is. The name of the file, pacmandying.wave. It's all lowercase, and it's .wav. Don't be confused here, because the file that we pasted into that folder minutes ago, that's inside, oh, this is the wrong location. I'm sorry, I closed that window. It's another window that right here. It's in here, in the bin folder, and within there the debug folder. This is where I earlier pasted the Pacman dying. But notice the .wav doesn't show up here, but it's there. Trust me, it's there. Again, I emphasize, if you have the right view mode set on your Windows computer, you can see over here to the right what type a file is. And this wave sound means there's a .wav there. So as long as that's in that location and everything's spelled right, when I run my program, if I hit line 1, right now this only works for hitting line 1, it'll work. Let's see. I should hear it out of the speakers. Ready? Okay, I'm going to, oh, you can't see this, I'm sorry, in the video. Let's zoom out. Okay, let's test it. Ready? I'm going to hit line 1. It worked. And that message box is annoying. Let's comment out that message box, or even just delete it. You might not want it in your final program. So one more time, let's test this. Let's hit line 1. And it should reset. I don't know why it didn't reset there, but I did call the reset method, and I don't know why reset is not working. Okay, oh, reset is resetting, but it's not changing the graphic back to the right-facing mouth opening. Ha! That would be something I have to fix in my game reset method on another day. Okay, folks, that's how you add a WAV file. You put the file in the right location inside your project folder. You copy and paste this go jump off a cliff statement from my lecture notes, and then you put the actual call statement where you want it to happen interactively in your program. Hey, let's say that you want that intro sound to play when Pacman starts. I think you would go into form load. You would probably open up the form load method right here, form 1 events. Come over here to L for load. And right here is where you would copy and paste play sound. But you would change it to Pacman intro, which was the name of the file that we had earlier, Pacman intro. Now when I run this program and it loads, I should hear the, oh yeah, it's the intro sound. Waka 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 waka. Oh no, that file's not in there. You'll have to find that on the internet and download it and add the waka 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 sound when Pacman is moving around with the arrow keys. I've never downloaded that one. You'll have to add that to make your program better than mine. Okay, that's it for today. That was an intro to how to start Maze 3 and how to get a WAV file in there. We'll make another video for adding MP3 files on a later date.